I'm Mayor Hillary Schieve from Reno, Nevada. Um, First of all, when we come to cities, we do try to have a lot of dialogue with the press. Even today, we were sort of talking about sometimes it can be really challenging. We are here today addressing homelessness because Mayor Bass is doing a phenomenal job of being our chair on our task force. And we were elated that you said you would take this on. And it takes a strong mayor, it takes a very tough mayor, but it also takes a mayor that understands that we have to call out whenever we believe our policies are failing. And I've been saying this for a long time. A lot of these mayors behind me have said we've got to acknowledge when our policies are failing. And that's exactly what you've done. And you've said we're taking on the challenge. And I'm incredibly grateful and very, very proud of it. I think in your first 365 days as mayor, you have done a phenomenal job housing so many people in your city that it really is remarkable. And I know that you set this benchmark, to house so many who definitely need it. And I keep saying, we've allowed our most vulnerable to die on our streets, and it's completely unacceptable. But it also is, along with housing, it goes to I think is the number one crisis in this country, and that is mental health and addiction. And we've got to start talking about it. We've got to start being honest about it. And I'm super grateful that I have mayors and colleagues that are here, and we've been on the Hill. Our CEO, Tom Cochran, we have been on the Hill. Mayor Aquiletta, we've just been super fortunate. We were in front of Pelosi and McCarthy and saying we need help. Mayors need help now. Most people don't realize the funding never even comes to our cities. It goes to our counties and our states, and we literally have to fight for it as hard as we possibly can because we are at ground zero. We are using our jails as mental health hospitals, and it's completely unacceptable. I always say hospitals are where they fix broken bones, not broken brains. And so mayors have said no more, and we are raising the alarm to this incredible crisis. But I want to turn it over to Mayor Turner. You have done a phenomenal job working with your homeless population and having a ton of success. And so I know you have to catch a flight, so I do want to hand it over to you, if you wouldn't mind, before I hand it off to Mayor Bass. It's all good. Come on over, Mayor Turner, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, President Schieve, and to Tom Cochran, and to all of the mayors, specifically to Mayor Bass. Let me thank you. She has come in as mayor, eliminating homelessness. I'm not going to say reducing, but eliminating homelessness is a number one priority. And now to be leading the task force of the United States Conference of Mayors, couldn't be a better leader on this topic. She's been to Houston several times in the last year, and as recently as in July. And we had the opportunity to kind of visit one of our navigation centers in the city of Houston. And then I cannot applaud you enough, as the president has, for what you've already done in 2930 encampments that have been decommissioned. Let me tell you, coming from the city of Houston, that is magnificent. And this is a problem that can be, how can I put it? We can end homelessness. And I want to be a part of this group because mayors are boots on the ground and hands-on. And if anyone can get the job done, mayors. So, and it's happening in our respective cities. I'm pleased to say that I'll be leaving as mayor in about a month and a half from now. But in my term, we have decommissioned 113 homeless camps. 113. We'll reduce homelessness in the city of Houston by 65%. Just last year alone by 17%. And based on the data, 90% of those 2 years after the fact are still effectively permanently housed. And it takes a collaborative effort, cities, the counties, the state, and the federal level. But I do want to specifically thank the U.S. Congress of Mayors, because when I started out 8 years ago, I did not know much. But working collaboratively with these mayors, I have learned a great deal and have been able to take what we've learned from gatherings like this, go back to my respective cities, and even if there were things that we were doing okay, we learned to do them better because we learn best practices from one another. And that's why, as I get to segue off, I am just so optimistic. I want to tell the people across this country, we mayors, working in collaboration with others, will eliminate homelessness. And it's taking place now each and every day. And even while I'm here in LA, back in Houston, we are decommissioning one of our last largest encampment of about 100 people, and that's taking place right now. It was an encampment that Mayor Bass toured with me in July. So let me just close by saying thank you, Mayor Bass. You're a force of nature. When you say it can be done, you're making it happen. And you're making it happen right here in LA, and to all of the other mayors, to the president, to Tom. Let me just say, if it's going to get done, call on the mayor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Turner, and talk about a force of nature and talk about someone who we will all miss. You know, the wonderful thing about the U.S. Conference of Mayors, of which I've been a member of for 11 months, it is an opportunity for all of us to join together and to learn. And so when I learned about what was happening in Houston and that you have reduced homelessness by such a large percent, and if I am not mistaken, when this encampment is decommissioned, the one that they are working on right now, that will be your last encampment. What a way to leave service. All of us here understand that solving homelessness is addressing an emergency that is taking place in so many of our cities. And when we join together as mayors, we build the national momentum to get this solved. I want to thank our president of the conference, Reno Mayor, Mayors Schieve, for leading your commitment to build that momentum nationally to confront this crisis. And as we have all said, when we come together with a common agenda, we all face the same barriers, we all face the same problems. Many of the policies are out of date. They don't work anymore. And so we understand that in order to change the policies, in order to eliminate the barriers, we have to join together as mayors. And so the launch of this iteration of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Task Force on Homelessness will seek to develop and push for change and push for the resources that are needed to end homelessness. Mayors are on the ground. Mayors are first responders. And we bear the responsibility to make sure that no one in the U.S. is left without housing, is left without support services, and left to live and die on our streets. We know if we can join forces, again, we can identify the barriers that we all face. We can eliminate those barriers. In the United States, the world's richest country in the history of the world, we have got to have the perspective that it is unacceptable for people to be on our streets, for people not to be provided with basic housing, healthcare, education, and food. And so joining together with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, it's an honor to work with all of you. It's an honor to come together and to share stories because we all learn from each other. We take what we learn back to our cities, and that's the way we are going to resolve this crisis.